Today I'm going to go over a very important chess concept, that of a restricted piece. I'm going to talk about this concept with a very important chess game that was played in the 2016 Chess Olympiad in Baku, Azerbaijan. This game was played between Magnus Carlsen and Enamul Hossain. And I'm going to teach you how to restrict your opponent's pieces and how to take advantage of a restricted piece, and also how to prevent your pieces from becoming restricted. And I'm going to discuss some very important opening concepts here as well. And many of you do play this opening, so it's very important to watch this video, as this can greatly improve your opening preparation and allow you to win more games. Now here, Black plays bishop takes on c3, which is a good move, but it's not his best response. Black's best response is to play the pawn to f5. Now this has been played before in the database with a 29% win ratio for white, a 41% draw, and a 30% win for black. The reason that f5 is so good is that it can gain central space and seeks to exert more control over the very important e4 square. f5 prevents white from gaining too much central space and allows black to keep open the a8 to h1 diagonal so that his bishop continues to be an active participant. In the actual game, Magnus is able to close down this diagonal and greatly restrict the bishop, thus making it as if black is playing down a piece. And here black plays c5. Now playing c5 at some point is good because it fixes the double c-pawns in place, possibly making them a long-term weakness. Playing c5 right now, though, allows white to turn his double c-pawns into a strength by expanding in the center. The c-pawns are a strength because the central spatial advantage makes it very difficult for black to attack the pawns. Pawns are only weaknesses if they can be attacked, and that is a very important concept to remember. Because often we're told that doubled pawns, isolated pawns are weaknesses. Well, they can often be great strengths. They're only weaknesses if they can be attacked. And in fact, a normal pawn structure that has no inherent weaknesses could actually be quite weak if the pawns can be easily attacked. So here, what black should have played instead of c5 is simply f5. And according to the database, this is black's best move. It is also logically a great move since it slows down white's advancement in the center and keeps open the a8 to h1 diagonal. It prevents white from boxing in the bishop on b7. Now white greatly expands in the center, and now we can see that the bishop on b7 is unable to participate in the game. Magnus now has a completely winning middle game position. And black's only counterplay on the queen side lies in playing a6 and b5 to undermine white's pawn center by attacking the c4 pawn. By playing a4, Magnus is seeking to stop this idea. Now black unfortunately plays a5 and takes away all of his potential counterplay on the queen side. The bishop on b7 will now remain passive for the rest of the game. The a6 to b5 idea would have challenged white's pawn center and would likely have freed the b7 bishop. Now a5 is also a huge mistake because the queenside pawn triangle formation is now extremely weak. There is a huge hole on b5 that can be occupied by a white piece, and the b6 pawn is a permanent weakness. If the b6 pawn is captured, then the a5 pawn will also likely be lost. For more information on why this pawn structure is so bad, take a look at these two game examples. Alrighty, so what black should have played would have been a move like knight to e5, bishop e2, knight g6, and simply allow Magnus to play a5 if he wants to. This allows black to keep open the option of possibly playing b5, and maybe a6 then b5. It's very important for black to have this breakthrough because if he could even sacrifice a pawn to free his bishop, then it would definitely be worth it. He would have more activity, more counterplay, and he would have a much better game. Now that Magnus Carlsen has stopped all of Black's counterplay on the queen side, he's going to now shift his focus to the king side and attack over there. He really has nothing to worry about since Black has no counterplay. And Magnus Carlsen keeps building up his attack. Notice how a great spatial advantage and a better placement of pieces makes it quite easy to attack. Magnus's attack just seems to happen without any effort. And I guess that goes back to the concept of, you want to work smarter and not harder. Magnus Carlsen is not really working that hard for this attack. He just has a very good strategic advantage, a huge spatial advantage, and Black has a restricted bishop on c8. So Magnus is just simply taking advantage of that, and his attack is just naturally happening. And yes, Magnus here actually could win material, but he prefers to continue the attack on the king. Because by attacking the king, he'll end up winning even more material. And after bishop takes here on g6, Hossain resigned. His position is falling apart. Let us look at a few more moves to see what could happen. If the bishop is captured, then Black will be checkmated here very soon. Rook to h2, and now there's a threat of queen to h8 and rook to h7 checkmate. So therefore knight takes f6 is played to try and delay that checkmate, but it only delays it for maybe a move, and then rook h8 is checkmate anyway. So if instead of that, maybe Black tries something like knight to f8, bringing the knight back to defend his king side, then White could simply win the exchange, be up by a pawn, be up the exchange, and even have ideas like f7. If the queen captures the pawn, then simply bishop to e5 check, and rook could take the queen, winning even more material. So Black can't take the pawn in f7, and White just has a huge kingside attack, lots of spatial advantage, a far advanced passed pawn is up material. He even has ideas of g5 to g6. And if you can see here, all of these dark squares around the Black king are just incredibly weak, so White can set up all kinds of checkmate threats, and Black is just completely losing here. That is why after bishop takes on g6 that Black just resigned. So this is a really great example of how to take advantage of a restricted piece and how it can make you appear as if you're down a piece, because this bishop on c8 was never really able to participate in the game. And it's also very important that you don't want to allow your bishop to become restricted. As you can see here, White is just expanding in the center. Black could have stopped that with an early f5. And that would have allowed his bishop to keep active on the open diagonal, and would have also prevented White from getting too much space, and Black would have had a much better game. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.